There we go, and we are live. Happy Friday, everyone. So I'm here and I'm excited about this end of week wrap up. We've got a special guest, and we've also got a nice 50-50 balance of female and male for a change on this Zoom chat, which is also very good. So Andrew, thanks for joining me. Obviously going to cover some various bits of the property market. Georgina, obviously you've been on the page with us before. We're on your page, which is great. And then special thanks as well to Hazel, who's joined us. And Hazel works for AVRillio, which is one of the solicitor companies that we work with quite closely. And with everything going on at the moment, we're going to cover not just the property market today. We're not just going to cover the mortgage rates and what's going on, and potentially is there a boom about to surface, but also some helpful tips that Hazel's going to give people from some of the questions that we've had on some of our Facebook pages. So looking forward to getting stuck into that as well. But how's your week been, Hazel? You had a good week?
I've had a very good week. Very busy as the industry is at the moment. So none of us can say we're not busy, but it's been a successful week. I think we're seeing as we're getting closer to sort of the end of March and towards even the June time, lawyers are getting on top of their cases, and getting a lot of exchanges through now, because we actually prepped for a lot of exchanges to go in March. Yeah. So actually it's quite good. We're getting a little bit more time now to sort of get the good customer service going that we've always had, really.
Good. Sounds positive. It'd be interesting to talk to you about how different caseloads are, with everyone sort of frantically trying to get them through at the end of this month, and then all of a sudden it feels a bit more relaxed. So we'll definitely get stuck into that. Georgina, you've had a busy week, a couple of sales gone bananas, market's feeling good, you feel positive at the moment, I think. So yeah, good week.
Yeah, it has been good. Yeah, just more viewings and more viewing inquiries from people. That's been where I've been busy this week, showing people around the houses that I've got on, so it's good.
Good stuff. And Andrew, matching me with the green wall. Always good to see estate agents with film studios in their homes rather than leaflets, as we like to say. Questions. If anyone's got a question for Andrew, for Hazel, for me, for Georgina, fire them through. Comments, obviously, we'll engage live. So if people are struggling with a question, that there's a topic that they want to talk about, just throw them in the comments and we'll get stuck into it. How's your week been, Andy? You had a good week?
Yeah, really good. Just literally before we went live, haven't had a chance to tell you, but we've agreed a sale on the bungalow we did the video together for, which was good. And
best instruction.
So yeah, it's nice. It's good to see the everything's been looked at. We've got the first time buyers naturally, but that's a 3-bed bungalow and a 3-bedroom house that are both gone. So it's nice to see the variety of buyers is out there still as well.
No, it's good. I like it. I think you might have had a question on your Facebook page, Andrew, for Hazel that came in from someone. So let's get straight stuck into solicitors, conveyancing, property. What's the question that was fired in from one of your clients?
Yes, a question from Harrison. So thanks, Harrison. Any tips really for sellers or buyers to ensure they hit the stamp duty holiday, and anything they can be doing additionally that perhaps is unknown to them?
Fantastic question from Harrison. So thank you for that. It's a question we get asked quite a lot at the moment. I think, a lot of people were hoping for the extension of the stamp duty, but it wasn't sort of, given to us essentially until quite recently. One of the main things that we do at AVRillio, but we say, look, get this done with all of your solicitors, is actually to sign up with a solicitor prior to having an offer agreed. So what that means is, if obviously you've put your property on the market for sale, or even as a buyer and you're still looking around on the market, go to a solicitor anyway. So with us, for example, what you can do is sign up as early as you want, get all of your forms done that you will need to do with a solicitor done for free, get some advice, and we actually say that will cut 2 to 4 weeks off your transaction time by doing that. So realistically, if you're looking to buy or you're looking to put your property on the market for sale, get set up now. And not all solicitors charge. So like I said, we don't charge in advance for that kind of service. I've got obviously some more tips really as well in general. One of the main things, especially with a leasehold property, that we find is that one of the main things that hold things up are the management company. So especially when we ask sellers, when they come on with us, please get the management pack from your management company. It would be really lovely and nice if they ordered them in advance from the management company or from the landlord. So as a seller, please get that in advance. And I tell you what, that is going to cut a hell of a lot of time off your transaction if it's a leasehold as well. One thing that we do on a purchase that actually is quite different to other solicitors, there may be some out there that do it as well, and it'll be nice if they do, is that on a purchase, for example, most purchase solicitors will have to wait for the seller's solicitors to send something called a contract pack to them before they can really do anything on a file. What we do is we actually download the land registry documents on day one that the file is opened. We will raise the initial inquiries, like basically legal questions on day one, and we'll get the file going. So again, that will save at least sort of 2 weeks worth of time by using a solicitor that doesn't wait for the other solicitor to get going. Would you like some more tips, Andy, or is that okay for your question?
I think it covers the general thought process. I'm sure if there's any more out there, they can reach out and get them answered. But I think as a whole, that's a pretty good starting block for anybody.
Yeah, there's three massive things there that I would say stand out, because I don't think a lot of people expect or feel that instructing a solicitor at the point of even looking for a property as a buyer or looking to sell your property as maybe a seller and a buyer. A lot of people would think, wait till we get an offer, but actually, you know, just little things like getting ID over, filling out contract packs, filling out information forms, buyer information forms, just getting general ID done. By the time it's emailed, printed, sent, done back, sent off, you know, that's a week saved, just very easy through a bit of sort of shared information. And leaseholds obviously are a little bit of a pig to get through at the moment. In reality, we're struggling to obviously get those packs. So as an owner of a leasehold, starting that early, I think that would make a massive difference. Georgina, I know you recently sold a leasehold property, and probably that would have been something which would have sped things up that much quicker, I would imagine.
Yeah. They're notoriously slow as well, the one that I'm dealing with. So yeah.
There
we go. But it was sold rather quickly, so I don't think there was much time to actually even get it in advance anyway. But yeah, it's definitely a good point to raise for people that might not be aware.
No, I like that. It's good content there and good information. And then talking more layman's terms with the contract pack, Hazel, what should people ask for on that? If not all solicitors kind of do it, what should people be asking their solicitor if they do offer that?
Yeah, of course. So from a seller's perspective, all sellers' lawyers or the solicitor that the seller of a property is going to instruct will have to send something called the contract pack. So the main documents for the property. We send that day one, and we send that to the buyer's solicitor via email. Most solicitors will post that. So first of all, in that situation as a seller, for example, you know, you need to be saying to them, do you post these documents or do you email these documents? Because again, that cuts time off. Do you send them day one or do you send them a week down the line? Because again, most solicitors will probably send them a week down the line. So it's kind of detecting what kind of solicitor they are really, and saying to them, look, you know, I know about what can be done differently. Not all solicitors are the same. Can you just talk me through the steps of what you do day 1 to 7 really during the transaction, that I can note down and sort of you know, get an idea of what you do? Because I think what we do differently is during day 1 to 7. So it's just that first week getting everything we humanly can done, rather than waiting and sort of wasting a week to a week and a half. So it's just asking the right questions really.
Yeah, it's good. I like that. Megan's just jumped in sort of midway through. She's just asked a quick question, which some of that we've just covered a little bit actually, but what's the first step if you're looking for a home? So I guess if you're looking from a first time buyer's perspective, definitely the first thing you need to do is go out there and find out how much you can afford to look up to. I would say is probably the best thing to do. So talk to a good local mortgage advisor and talk to your own personal bank. They're probably the two goes to that I would have. Then when you know exactly what you can afford, then it's a case of starting to have a little look out there of the other costs and the budgeting exercise and working out what utility is going to cost and council tax, stamp duty or not, as the case may be. Find a good solicitor or get in contact with us and we can put you in contact with Hazel. That's a nice, easy thing to do. And then anything else, Georgina, what's the next step? When everyone's ready and set to go, what would you say would be the next advice to give Megan?
I'm all about lists. I love lists. So if you're buying alone or with somebody, both make a list of your sort of top what you would actually like number of bedrooms, whether you need a garden or what type of house or everything that you're looking at. If you're doing it with somebody else, both make a separate list and then come together and look at your list and make sure that you're both on the same page. Because the amount of times I've been on a viewing and pretty much witnessed arguments, I would say, over what they're actually looking for. So yeah, if you've got a good idea of what you're actually looking for before you even start looking on Rightmove and Zoopla and all the portals, it just can stop that sort of argument from coming up. So that's my little advice, to sort of know that you're both looking at the same thing.
Get a list like that. I'm an Excel sheet guy, so I'm on Excel.
Oh, well, yeah, or a spreadsheet, yeah, whatever you want to do. It just both make sure that you're all on the same page, and that you know what you're looking for. So when it comes up, you see that.
I like that. That's really good. I thought of something, Ian, whilst you was talking there, if you don't mind. One thing that I've come across quite recently, first-time buyers or any buyer in general, really, when they go through a mortgage lender, of course, some buyers go through a broker, some go straight to the bank. It's really important to consider that at the moment during the pandemic as well, mortgage lenders are taking longer to respond and to get certain documents back so that a solicitor is then actually ready to finish the sale. So it's quite nice if you actually have a conversation with your broker as well, if you do go through, a mortgage advisor or broker, and sort of say, look, in your opinion, although I just want the best deal, at the same time, what banks are actually being a little bit quicker right now? Which banks send documents to solicitors online as opposed to in the post, for example? What banks have a faster turnaround at the moment? So things like that as well, again, leading to moving before the stamp duty is going to make a difference.
Yeah, great bit of advice. And mortgage advisors know that. They know the answer to those questions in terms of, what lenders are doing what, who is offering quick speed, who's slow. And a lot of people have really fast-tracked their technology. Megan says, thank you. You're very welcome. Anyone else got any questions, chuck them in and we'll answer them. But some have really taken transactions on board and technology on board and some haven't. I actually had a solicitor the other day asked me to fax over our commission statement. Now I'm in a Regis building with 200 businesses and I guarantee no one's got a fax. So
that's what I mean. It's difficult, isn't it?
There we go. Georgina, you may have had a question from your page, I believe you mentioned to me offline. Do you want to fire that into the group?
Yeah, it's from Jonathan. And so the conveyance, he's asking, the conveyancing process has had more pressure than ever before because of volume. What has changed within the industry and what areas have solicitors had to adapt in the most?
Okie doke. So, well, there's been quite a few areas really. I think as a whole, solicitors have primarily worked from offices or from, established buildings, or even if they're local solicitors, they're working from business addresses. As soon as the first lockdown happened and we all sort of realised we was either going to be furloughed or we was going to have to potentially work from home, a lot of solicitors have never in their life had to work from home. Some of them, for example, have paper copy documents for clients in folders like filing cabinets. They do everything manually in terms of typing out documents, even the sort of general forms, they have to type them out and stuff. So they weren't ready for that. So what happened is a lot of solicitors had to then get everything transferred to work at home. And actually, working remotely has made it harder to contact solicitors and actually some of them have got a little bit slower because they just wasn't used to working like that before. I mean, here at AVRillio, a lot of us have always worked from home in general. It hasn't affected the service that we've had, but essentially we've always been able to remote work. Something that we know has happened as well. So following the last lockdown, for example, like most companies really, a lot of solicitors were furloughed, but that hasn't really changed. So even up until now, staff are either still off or the furlough is still being rotated, for example. So that's what's really affected, you know, the capacity of solicitors. At the times, for example, when some solicitors actually had to close down their services for a month, 2 months, for example, as a minimum, as soon as they then come back, they went, you know, oh my, we need business coming through, and we need it coming through really quickly. So as opposed to going, look, we used to have 10 members of staff, now we have 2, for example, because the rest are on furlough. They've sort of gone, right, give me cases, because otherwise, if they don't, they'll be out of business completely. So that's obviously then bottlenecked the industry and resulted in, you know, a massive sort of pressure oven when it comes to, you know, the clients wanting to move and things like that. So, you know, it's just solicitors are going to have to adapt now. They're going to have to get online. And it's realistically pushed the dinosaurs into realizing that, you know, we have to move to the online platforms now and work together. Otherwise, you know, you just can't do business anymore like that.
And I would probably say that relates very well into our industry as well, which we've been often talking about, is kind of dinosaurs moving over as such, and kind of getting on board with everything that the 2021 and 2020 has taught us, really, I guess, because, you know, in a lot of industries, people have tried to stick it out in the same way and it hasn't worked. And now that's one of the key things that I think we quite liked about AVRillio is you work on a bespoke basis as a solicitor. And I think this is vital. I'm not just trying to sort of plug your business here, but in general, if someone's looking to select a solicitor, is, are you going to be dealing with a panel, a team? Are you going to be dealing with a factory style operation, sort of an out the box process, or are you going to be dealing with an individual, the fee earner, someone who can advise, coach you through it? And how easily are they contactable? I mean, the amount of solicitors at the moment that I'm sure we're all calling that actually say on the answer phone during this pandemic, because of volumes, we're no longer taking calls, please email us at info@. And sometimes an email is not what you need to have. You need advice, you need a two-way conversation, and then you email and we'll respond within 24 hours and you're like, what are we going to do? So it's great and refreshing to hear that a business like that is engaged and embraced in it. But it sounds to me like you've got the head start because you're already set up to work remotely, which is brilliant. So no, I appreciate that feedback massively. And in general on the market, talking volume, you know, because the question relates to volume, I think obviously first stamp duty holiday came in and we saw crazy volume levels and no one expected it. And, you know, whether it was solicitors having people on furlough or estate agents having people on furlough, it took everyone a little bit by a shock. Now we're in the second stamp duty holiday, or the extended version. What have you found with your business? Is everyone relaxed a little bit all of a sudden? Is everyone still desperate for the end of March? How is that sort of process since the budget changed? Workload, pressure, stress, are things different, or is it kind of everyone still wants the end of the month?
Everyone still wants the end of the month, because I don't think anyone can quite believe it's really happened or been extended. And obviously there's, you know, the conditions around it and things like that, you know, it's all a little bit, you know, some people know 100% what the conditions are and some people don't. So most people are trying to play it safe and go, do you know what, I initially wanted to move by March and that's when I still want to move. So we've got probably added volume because we've got lots of people that want to move by March and lots of people instructing now that want to move before June. So it's kind of like a double bubble really there, where we've got both. So it's just about being honest with clients and saying, look, if anyone can move you quickly, it's us, because we do move clients in half the time of the average in general. But please prepare for alternative options. You know, I obviously different businesses are different, but you know, there are chances of negotiation if you know, possibly if dates are missed or things like that. So we just try to make sure that they're aware of what they need to get in advance and have the trust, at least knowing that we're going to do our best. I always say to clients, there's nothing worse than, you know, hearing in someone's voice that they say we're going to try and do our best and you know they're not. Whereas with us, you know, we're actually really trying to do our best. So volume has gone up. So we've just had to you know, be even more transparent and just talk more to the clients really and tell them the truth from the start.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I think, yeah, it's the same for a lot of industries where it's really important for us all to see that everyone's working together for that common goal. Andrew, on volume, you had some good statistics you were telling me offline about Rightmove actually recently. Yeah,
so on budget day, there was 9 million separate visits to Rightmove alone, which I think is just a huge number. But I was doing some number crunching for the first time in a long time. There's 68 million people in the UK. So if you allow for sort of your OAPs and your minors, that works out to be 13% of the whole population went onto Rightmove in one day. So like I say, you've got minors and the OAPs that potentially aren't looking, and husband and wife that would use one device. But I think that's a huge number of people. Staggering. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2%, but like when I've done the maths, I've double checked it. It's 13%. Massive number.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's powerful numbers. I mean, 13% of the population is incredible numbers. I don't know if my internet might be playing up a little bit. Mike's just wafted into the office with a full day out of the office, on the phone, slamming the door. I think he's taken 3 houses on in Wokingham and he's taken all my internet as well. So there we go, live TV at its best. Georgina, what about in terms of general thoughts on the property market? Because I know you've got a view on this, and so do I. What do you think is coming next?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it at the start. Is there going to be a boom? I'm going to go with yes. Signs are looking that way. So many people, more inquiries coming through, not just since the budget, but I think that kind of gave people the confidence to sort of think, right, we wanted to move last year, but perhaps that wasn't the right time. And perhaps now more people are actually looking. Maybe lockdown, people spending so much time in their homes have actually decided, right, we don't want to live here anymore. Let's get moving. So, you know, really positive. So many more inquiries coming through for each property. So yeah, I'm predicting a boom. Prices locally to me in Woodley definitely seem to be on the up for what you could get this time last year. From what I can see from new properties coming onto the market, you know, prices definitely seem to have increased in the recent weeks.
I think one of the key things at the moment is the banks keep dropping the interest rates. So it keeps becoming, it's cheaper now to buy the same house at the same price than what it was 8 weeks ago. And that's massive, because I keep talking to people. It's not about the price of the house you're buying. It's about the affordability. People don't often buy a property based on the price they're paying. They buy it based on the monthly affordability. And if interest rates keep dropping, then people will be able to buy a higher price because it's more affordable to do so. So that's the positives with the market. And if we've got 13% of the population in one day looking at Rightmove, that paints its own picture, I think, doesn't it? You know, which is super exciting. We covered a lot of bits, Hazel. I had a question from Simone. I think she potentially is a mortgage advisor. And they said she's kind of highlighting about kind of negative feedback at the moment, and a lot of solicitors getting it wrong. From your perspective, is there any key things that you think over the future for law society, conveyancing, or just the general home moving process? Is there anything that you think's coming up that might impact it and change it so that those kind of negative comments that have been highlighted recently will disappear? What's your thoughts on that?
So our thoughts on that, I mean, we haven't heard anything from the Law Society in particular about anything they're going to make mandatory. I think we all kind of want a lot of things to be made mandatory in the industry. So, for example, as soon as you find a solicitor that's doing something quite revolutionary, for example, in a transaction, everyone would like all solicitors to follow suit, because what's most frustrating and holds up most of the transactions is when a solicitor on each side don't act in the same way. Obviously, you get the Law Society guidance and like CML, like conveyancing handbook information when you start as a lawyer on what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But a lot of companies actually have their own policies. So if you're not a lawyer trained the same as the lawyer for the seller, and I'm the buyer's lawyer, for example, that's where you butt heads. So putting a bit more legislation in place that says, you know, you have to ask this, but you don't have to ask this, but you have to ask it in a certain way, like this, on this document every time, etc. I think we all obviously want things to move a bit more online. We know that the land registry, you know, most of the documents that we have to send them, you know, I won't get too technical, but with regards to transfers, for example, you have to do it in the post, again, holding things up. So we're hoping that that goes online shortly, which will just make, you know, registration of clients' details of land registry a bit quicker, so better for the, you know, the transaction as a whole. But yeah, it's really pushing, as we touched on earlier, the sort of dinosaurs into the 21st century, making things a little bit more e-sign, hopefully. So, for example, if you're exchanging contracts, or if you're doing something where you need to send something to another solicitor, just being able to do everything online, I think that's what we need to get going, really, and get changed, to be honest.
Yeah, lose the paper trail and speeds the process. Yeah, massively. I completely agree with that, and I think it'll be exciting to see. And it has to happen, doesn't it? You know, it's happened in most industries, and I'm sure it will happen in the conveyancing world as well. It'd be great to see that action take place. So there's been a lot of value in this conversation. Before we kind of put everyone on the spot with some property pricing predictions, if anyone's got any last minute questions in the comments, throw them in. Thanks for everyone that's been watching. By the looks of it, there's been over 50, 60, 70 people watching. So yeah, if you've got comments afterwards and you're not watching this live, you're watching it recorded, fire them in the comments. We'll still get them answered. Someone's just thrown in, Charlotte's just thrown in a link for everyone, Land Registry Local Charges Programme. Something to help people out there on the comments, which we'll look at as well. But what I've taken away from this, Hazel, from your perspective, is get people signed up quickly and first, you know, straight away, get the ID stuff done really quickly. Even if you're on the market now, or you're looking to buy, or you're thinking of selling, get instructed with that solicitor ASAP. If you're selling a leasehold, take responsibility and look at getting the management pack paid for and requested via that solicitor from day one. Will speed up weeks and weeks, maybe even a month or so. And then if people are in a position at the moment where they want to work with a bespoke solicitor, someone they can talk to, AVRillio seem like you guys are pushing the tech, the communication, everything that we're trying to do, you guys are doing as well. So if anyone wants to get in contact and they want to come via us, welcome to. Andrew, in terms of your perspective, 13% of the population looking at Rightmove in one day is a power stat. That's a wowzer stat. Yeah, big that is. And then, you know, from your point of view, Georgina, we're seeing increasing volumes of properties, which is flying. We're actually seeing buy-to-let investors increase on registration so far this year of 28%. So buy-to-let investors seem to be back out there. We haven't even touched on 5% deposits, which we were going to touch on, but the brief on those effectively are people are out viewing now that have got 5% deposits that are approved with mortgage advisors, but they don't have their interest rate yet. So we're still waiting for the rates, but the major banks and most of the major mortgage providers are saying, go out there, you're going to be fine. We just don't know what rate it's going to be yet, which is great. So with all that in mind, Andrew, I'll put you on the spot first. Prices for the next 9 months, let's say, up a little bit, not up, down, shooting. What's your thoughts?
I think they'll slowly. I think initially they'll bounce up in the next 4 weeks, something like that. Then after that, they'll slowly sort of roller coaster on a steady increase. So, you know, maybe up a little bit, plateau, up a little bit, but over 9 months, 100%, in my opinion, they're going to go up.
Hazel, your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm obviously, you know, quite similar to Andrew on that. I mean, what I was finding, I don't know if you was finding this, Ian, it was just something I generally got from the market, is when initially the, you know, the reduction in stamp duty, for example, came around, a lot of vendors were actually, I felt, trying to ask for more money for their property because they knew that buyers could actually get more of a discount. So has that trend continued at all?
I think what's happened last year is the market got split. I mentioned this on a few lives. It got split because everyone that was trying to sell to buy, there was just an influx of properties around this area, let's say 300 to 400,000, 250 to 400. There was so many of those on the market, they actually dropped in price. Whereas the people looking to buy at 500 to 600 grand and save the full 15K, they became a premium, and everyone was after the same thing. So they went up. What we've seen this year with the reintroduction of the 10% deposit mortgages and now the 5% deposit mortgages, we've now seen a balance. And I think actually with less on the market, you know, what I think all three of us would vouch for is there's less on the market, the demand is up, there's more people looking. People can buy now that couldn't buy 3 months ago, and that's exciting for the property market. I think you mentioned earlier about the ripple of kind of the stamp duty holiday for March, and then with the extension, it's kind of gone, right, you've got people that still want March, and now you've got people that are moving on to that. And I think, Georgina, me and you were on a live and we were talking about, actually, is a 3-month extension going to tease people a little bit? Because there was rumours of 6 weeks, which would have just got the people over the edge that would have missed. Whereas 3 months is a little bit of a tease. It's kind of, you could do this, but if you're not on the market now and you're not ready, you can't hesitate. You got to go. But I think we're equally going to see people disappointed. But the good thing is people are going to save a lot of money. So it will be very interesting to see what happens over the next 9 months, because we've got stamp duty exit 1, then we've got the September one for 250, then we've got 3 months of the year without it at all. But at the moment, people can afford to buy properties that couldn't before. It's cheap. The market's booming. There's loads of demand. First-time buyers are looking to buy. First-time sellers are out there. People can buy with 5% deposits. Buy-to-let investors are out there. And it seems like the market, in my opinion, is about to boom, I think. I think we're going to see a solid... Yeah, I think 18 months of solid growth is very likely, unless something significantly changes, is kind of my view on it. Georgina, what about you?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a little bit of a boom happening. Definitely, I agree with that. Good.
Well, Hazel, thank you so much for joining us this evening on a Friday night.
Thank you for having me.
It's been really, really insightful for us. So I know if it's good for us as agents, it's going to be great for the people watching. And Andrew and Georgina, obviously it's been a positive week for us within the brand and individually. So, you know, well done on the sale, Andy, on the bungalow. And yeah, let's hope the weekend continues. I know a lot of the partners have got full packed diaries tomorrow. So good signs for the market. And Hazel, thanks again for joining us. And we will see you all again soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was lovely, and have a lovely evening as well.
Yeah, thank you.